Hey there, movers. For today's class, you will need a just one 3-pound, 2-pound, whatever kind of light dumbbell. I don't recommend anything heavier than that to work through some upper body work. But we're gonna start in your standard position, foot bar at its normal height. Your footwork springs are loaded on. If you like your headrest up, go for it. Let's bring ourselves down. Ooh, onto your back. Sorry, it's a little cold on the reformer. Whew, it's like 30 degrees outside today. As you press and pull, maintain, find your neutral spine position, pressing your hands down into your carriage. We go for 6 more, for 8 total with your heels on, hip distance apart. For 4, 3, 2, and hold out to come home halfway. And then we push, pause to the press out and pull home instead of just like bouncing out and down. Pause at each lift and lower into the carriage. Imagine you're trying to like push your legs apart and squeeze your legs in as hard as you can in those 2 oppositional directions. Now, before you push all the way out, without moving your hips, lift your right leg, hover it off of the foot bar, then press all the way out. Now, I don't know if I said that, sorry. I'm loaded on 3 springs. So either 2 reds and a green if you like a little heavier, or 2 reds and a blue for this single leg work. We got 6 each side for 2 more. And then last one. Then you come home halfway, push, pause, pulse, pause. 8 total, trying to wrap around from the rib wrap position, pelvic floor lifted position. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift the left leg up, keep it right there. If you need to, you can even like push your left palm into your thigh to make sure that it doesn't move, doesn't lift away or move away, and that it stays, both hips stay in line with each other for 2 more, 6 total. 2. And then last one, come back into your pause pulses, making sure that you are controlling motion, not bouncing in or out of it. Last 3, 2, and 1. Press all the way out, lengthen, expand, walk down onto your arches, and march in place. Find that connection to where you're not gonna like drop one hip down and the other hip lifts, but instead the distance between hips and ribs stays the same. So now where you walk down to your toes, connect the heels together, Pilates V, press and pull, and your knees stay just as wide as your shoulder blocks, like as if there's like an imaginary wall on the outside of your knees there. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. And I like to take the feet wide, give yourself a little windshield wiper side to side. If you like to hold on to your shoulder blocks while you do that, go for it. But if your headrest is up, go ahead and reach back, place it down flat. We'll warm up a little bit more there with some bridges, keeping your carriage home as you articulate 5 times. Off and away from the carriage, keeping your shoulders down away from your ears with your heels, your arches, or your toes. We just went from easiest challenging to most challenging, and all of those different options there. So choose your own adventure. I like to go arches on, little middle ground there. Drive your knees and shins forward as you inhale, hold at the top, and then exhale back down. Ooh, hello hamstrings. And we repeat 4 more times. Always when you get to the top, check that the carriage is still pulled home. Roll it back down. If you would like a little bit more spice, a little bit more sauciness, you reach your arms up towards the ceiling for 3. Ooh, already shaken. 2 more. Keeping your hips level with each other. Keeping your gaze straight up towards the ceiling. If you're looking from left to right, all that does is put more strain on your neck. So protect the neck, protect the joints, use your muscles instead, use your brain power. Once you lower down after those 5, hold on to your shoulder blocks or your pegs. Think about pulling them apart from each other. So you're like, ugh, pulling them outside of your reformer as you lift and float your legs to tabletop. Squeeze the legs together. Pull your knees in a little closer towards your chest so that you get into an imprinted spine. But then as your knees stay together, you will lift your left hip up as you rock to the right side. Exhale through center and rock to the left side. Keep your knees close in towards the chest, or for more challenge, reach your legs a little bit further over your hips. Now, if you want more spice, you straighten your legs out and up like a full windshield wiper. Try that 2 more times each side. So that was 2. Here's last one to the right. Woo. And 1 more to the left. Awesome. Feet down, windshield wiper, side to side. While you're back there, grab for your straps, long loops into your hands. If you'd like to bring your headrest back up, go ahead and do so now. Once your long loops are into the hands, you are on your 3 springs still. Yes, I said that, 3 springs. We're gonna work through our 100 here. So taking an inhale to exhale and press those hands and connect to the back body. Lift your legs to tabletop, find the connection to your core. And now as you exhale, push arms and legs along, reaching arms and legs, and heels stay connected and pumping the arms without moving the carriage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you need to modify, lift the legs a little higher or pull the knees in towards tabletop. Otherwise, keep that heel connection like you're wrapping a corkscrew around your legs. 4 more, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, out, in, last one out, lift the arms, lower the head, drop the feet, and bring those straps back onto the carriage. Legs long over the foot bar, arms up towards the ceiling like you're moving those arms through mud or into your straps. Try to roll yourself up all the way into a seated position. Once you're there, wrap or roll yourself around to the other side. All right, and we are just going to be working on a yellow spring for the rest of the class. Now, this is a very light spring, so be aware of that. If you've never worked on just a yellow spring before, like push the carriage out and see like how light that can be. So once you've stepped off towards once you're laying down onto it, to the right side, it's gonna be your right hand that comes towards the shoulder block closest towards you. Straddle so that the shoulder blocks are kind of hitting you right at the middle line. Right hand onto the shoulder block closest towards you, left hand, on the one furthest away from you. Get your feet super wide, wider than hip distance apart, and press with your left hand, pull with your right hand, kind of helping the rotation through your spine. As you stack the spine back up, the carriage comes home. So we're going for 6 of these. That's 5, 4, dropping the right shoulder, lifting the left, 3, feeling that stretch through the right side of your body, for 2, and last 1, okay? So our little intermission here is going to be where we come kneeling, facing front. So bring yourself up onto the carriage there with your legs between your shoulder blocks. Sit onto your shoulder blocks. Okay. If this bothers your knees at all, you can bring your box on and sit instead of kneel. But we're going to take just the, let's do the right strap first with the short loop into the hand. Okay, with your palm up, your thumb out, serve a platter for the first 4. Find the connection where maybe if you have a mirror in front of you, you can see and feel the elongation of your spine for 3. And then here's 4. So now the next time your arm reaches forward, lift up into your high kneeling position. Now use your feet against those shoulder blocks. Stay here and engage through the glutes to push out into those shoulder blocks for the next 4. 3, 2, keeping your tailbone heavy, low back long, and then last 1. Now, this is when it starts to get to be more unilateral work, obviously unilateral work, but working through anti-rotation. Press and hold your right arm out, thumb up, palm in. If you want to reach that left arm out to the side, you can, just to kind of help your brain focus on what's happening. Open your arms into hug a tree and then close back in. I'm going to leave my left arm down by the side for 3, 2, and then last one. Keep that arm forward. Rotate your palm forward so the strap comes behind your shoulder. And this is where you got to like trust yourself that you're using your core. Lean into the strap. Make sure you're feeling even on both sides without lifting your right side higher. You bend your elbow and then stretch that arm back long again. Bend and press. 2 more. Good, and then last one. When that arm comes down in front of you, grab both hands around that strap and you rotate towards the right and center. 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Sit your hips down. Take that strap back onto the peg, and let's do it again on the other side. So even if you want to stay in this low kneeling position, we can do all of that through that same, this same position. Low kneeling, working on keeping the foundation here of strength through the core, length through the spine. This is our last one, reaching forward before you start to come up into your high kneeling. So if you can, if you want to, lift and raise yourself up and repeat for another 3, 2, keep the arm out on this next and last one. Thumb up, palm in for half hug a tree. Ooh, single arm hug a tree. You really start to feel those obliques working with you. Last 2. Arm stays long out in front. Last 1. Push the palm forward and bring that strap behind you. Lean into that tension a little bit, and now make sure that you're not just like lifting your left side up into a side bend, but keep everything nice and straight. Bend and stretch that arm up and down. Your little tricep bends. Last 2 and 1 with those salutes. Then you take your arm back down in front of you, interlace those fingers around that strap, keep your hips forward as we rotate for 4, 3, 2, and a 1. All right. So now we come off to the left side. We'll take ourselves through that rotation. So once you're off to the side there, your left hand is going onto the shoulder block. Right hand is on the shoulder block furthest away from you. Straddle your shoulder blocks with your feet wider than hip distance apart. It's your right hand that presses and your left hand that pulls, so you feel that stretch through the left side of the body. 5 more times, press out. In for 4. If you want a little bit more through that rotation, you step closer towards the right. Last 3, 2, and 1. Alrighty. So now let's come back up onto your reformer, kneeling facing back with your thighs against those shoulder blocks, your hands onto the wooden frames of the reformer. First for wood pull. Okay, we'll do it with both hands, both arms first. So with your hands slightly forward in front of your shoulders, draw the core up and in. So you're not just like here in that hammock position or dropping everything down. You draw everything up and in as if there was a fire underneath you and you're trying to pull up away from the flames. Even lift away from your wrists here. Puff up the back of your shoulders. And it's a little bit of like a puffing of that upper back even more as you pull the carriage forward without moving your hips past or behind your knees. So you could think of, I know we haven't done it in this particular class, but when you're doing your supine arms and you're pushing your hands down by your hips, same muscles that are working to push your hands, in this case, toward your knees. 3, 2, then you'll hold your wood pull, last one, and tiny little pulses of your knees, maybe not so tiny in this case, but it's almost like your hips are going back toward your heels for 4 more. 3. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. Last 2 and 1. Bring your knees back under your hips, your shoulders away from your wrists. Carriage comes home and sink back into your child's pose. You can wiggle your hips. You can reach your arms off to one side or the other, kind of whichever feels good for you. Let your stretches, let your movement be a little intuitive once we take these sort of restful periods or sort of reset periods. So now if you need to roll out your wrists, get yourself set up as I demo this next one. It's going to be the same setup, but this time we're going to reach one leg back behind us. So it's okay if your hands need to start a little closer towards you than they did before, and then you can start to walk yourself out. So I'm gonna start with my hands closer than they were before. Now, when your left leg reaches out behind you, if it touches under the foot bar, put it on top of the foot bar. Rest it there for a moment and check to see if your hips have moved or shifted from the right to the left. We wanna keep that right knee and hip all in line and your left hip level with the right instead of like lifted and sinking off to the right side. Okay, so find that connection, find that engagement, and now can you hold that position with your core, with your glutes, with your arms as you now shift the carriage forward and back like a little pointer dog. Doing 4 each side. If you want to go for 6, go for it. Last 2. Hold. Last 1. Now tuck 4 times with just that right leg. Don't drop the left. 3, 2, 1. Bring the carriage all the way home. We come out of it the same way we came into it. Left leg drops down. You straighten your right leg on top of the foot bar. Drop your right hip. Make sure your left hip didn't shift towards the left side. I'm gonna reach my arms a little more forward so that when my right leg stretches out, nothing shifts, everything holds as you pull and rest. Not rest, but pull and relax. 2 and 1. Hold shoulders over hands and now tuck 4 times. 2 more. Last 1. Bring your carriage all the way home and then place your right knee down. Take your child's pose again. Roll out your wrist if you need to. Take your breather. Reset. Alrighty. Then from there, we're gonna come into your kneeling position facing towards, let's do the right side first. And so now the further you are towards the foot bar, the heavier this yellow spring is going to feel for you. So choose accordingly. I'm gonna put my left arm through the long loop. If you want heavier, go for the short loop. But that means I'm also gonna take a step closer towards the right side of the reformer. So I'm gonna lift myself up into a high kneeling position, bringing my hands behind my head. And keeping knees at hip distance apart, tailbone heavy, ribs wrapped, spine long, shoulders down. As I exhale, I'm gonna come up and over, and then inhale, stack the spine tall. Think of like a barbed wire fence under your right armpit or rib cage or whatever is to the right there. And you're going over it, not just like collapsing to the right side. 4 for 6 total. 3. Pull the head back into the hands. 2 and 1. Now from there, rotate towards the foot bar without letting your hips shift. So if the hips, if you had like a mirror to your right side and you see your left hip like behind your right hip, that means you've moved your hips. I think we know what like hip shifting is or hip rotation is. So as you pull your upper body towards the right, I like to think of like gently pushing your right hip forward or twisting your hips gently towards the left as an oppositional movement there. 2 more. Last one. Oh, baby. All right, now the intermission before we get over to the other side is going to be where you have the long loop into your left hand, and that's where your 3-pound weight comes into play here. Okay, so it's gonna be very similar to what we were just doing. Instead of in our kneeling position, you're gonna come into a proposal pose. So your left foot is forward, right foot is back. Start with your serve a platter for the first 5, to 6. If you wanna go for a 6, let's go for a 6. Let's do it. 4. Already this 3-pound weight feels heavy. 2 and 1. Okay. Now, as you press forward, grab that weight with both hands. So similar to what we did before, similar movements, not all the same. You're pushing down really hard through that right knee and shin. 3 for 3 more. Keep your left hip sinking. 2 more. Awesome. And then after that last one, you're going to take your right hand with the dumbbell and then start again with your serve a platter for 6, 5, 4. Going into bench press next. In 3, your arms will stay long. In 2, and last one. Palms forward. Your strap will go underneath of your armpit as you open your arms out wide and then press. Pull to press. 5, 4. Always keeping the line taut for 3. Last 2, keeping your body in alignment. Final 1. Bring your hands back together again and rotate 6 more times to the left. Try to stay lifted. I always like to look down, and that is not a good habit to get into. So keep your eye line straight forward and moving that vision back and forth. Final 1. Whew. All right, then from there, carriage comes home, strap comes down, and you turn yourself, place your dumbbell down first, turn yourself to the right side into that kneeling position. I'm gonna walk myself a little closer to the edge. Long strap over the right elbow. Come up into your tall kneeling position with your hands behind your head. The hands behind the head is not only to challenge yourself to keep the ribs from popping open and sticking your butt out, but to push your head back into your hands to make sure you have that spine position in the correct form. We curl to the side into that side bend position. Pull the left ribs towards the left hip. 4 more. Shoulders away from your ears for 3, 2, and after your last one, we rotate to the left. Remember that as your upper torso is rotating left, your lower part of the body, even though it looks like it's not moving, you are gently trying to rotate it towards the opposite direction. Pull the head into your hands. 3 more. Remember, Pilates is not about like, look how much movement I can get out of this, but more about like, look how deep I can feel the connection into the deepest part of my body. Once you're done, go ahead and slide your right hand onto the long loop. Your right foot will come forward. Your left foot will stay onto the inside of that left shoulder block. Grab for that 3-pound weight, put it into your right hand to start. Make sure your hips are level with each other, tailbone is scooped, low back is long for your serve a platter. For 6, 5, 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Interlace your fingers around the dumbbell and the strap. Rotate 6 times to the right and back forward. How tall can you keep your spine? How strong can you engage through the core? 3 more times into that full rotation. It's that full stabilizing energy. Last 1. Take your left hand with the dumbbell, serve a platter again for 6. Oh, even though you're just on a yellow spring, she feels so heavy. 5, 4, 3. Believe it or not, you're working on balance. Hopefully I'm making it look easy too. This is one of those things that always got me addicted to Pilates. Last 1. Interlace those fingers and rotate 1 last time, 6 times towards the right. That's what got me addicted to Pilates, was like, it looks so easy, but when you actually get on the reformer 4 more times, then you actually are like, oh my God, I don't know what I was thinking. Why is this so hard? And they still make it look so effortless. Last 2. And final 1. Good, bring your carriage back home. You can place your dumbbell back down onto the platform. Carefully place that strap back and down. Add a red and a blue. Then take off your yellow. Let's come into an elephant stretch. Your feet will come out from underneath of you. Ooh, feels good to give those knees a little stretch as well. Your heels will stay down, and just think of down dog in yoga with your heels staying down onto the ground, your head between your arms. And if you can't quite get into this position, you can lower the foot bar down a little bit more, or if you need to, you can keep your head a little higher lifted, and when the carriage presses back, you should be able to drop your head low. Now keep that position with a little tiny curl in the upper back. Draw the carriage home, press back out on your inhale. Exhale in, press out. Exhale in, press out. Pull from the lower core, press through the back body. So it's not your shoulders that are pushing into your foot bar. It's your back body and the core working together. 3, 2, and 1. You're gonna drop your hands down. If you feel comfortable with it, take a forward fold. And then we'll go ahead and finish up with some feet and straps with your I like to put the foot bar up for this, the headrest up for this. You keep your red and your blue spring on, but once you lay down onto your back, long loops go over the arches of your feet. Now, challenge yourself here. Once you choke up on the straps, can you bring your feet towards your straps? Actually, I'm going to leave my headrest down while I do that. So when you come up into that little bit of a lift, the feet are in the straps, you press the legs out. I'm going to lift that headrest back up, hands down by your hips to keep the heels together and bend and stretch out and in. So it's very similar to footwork, but think of this as footwork in the air. We want to maintain that same spine position, neutral spine from hips to ribs, long, strong core, creating all that space in the spine for you to feel lengthened out, stretched out at the end of every class. The next time the legs go out, lift the legs up without letting your back just like flatten down onto the carriage. So when you reach your legs back out again, if you can slide, or maybe like a little ant family can walk up behind you underneath of your back. So like hopefully you can see that little bit of daylight peeking through. Keep that daylight there as your legs lift and then lower. And if you can maintain that position and still get a higher lift and lower, it will actually feel stronger through the core and like stretchier through the legs. It'll feel good because you're like, oh, if you're just relaxing and letting those legs do their thing, yeah, it'll still feel good. But that's not like the purpose of feet and straps. At least when I prefer to do feet and straps is to find the strength through the core, still working strong to lengthen the spine, and the connection to the back of the legs. All right, I'll get off my soapbox here. Hold the legs out at that high 45. Make sure you have that neutral spine position. Open, close those legs. Pump those heels together. 4 more. 2, 1. Now when your legs open wide, bend and stretch into a wide sumo squat position. All right, and then from there, legs stay to the width of your reformer, lift up, close in, lower down, open, lift, close, lower. Keeping and maintaining that neutral spine position. And this also ensures that we are protecting the spine. So over time, if you're continuously doing legs and straps and your spine is, you know, in that continuous sort of twerking movement, back and forth, twerking up and down, then eventually you'll feel it in your spine. You might not feel it today, you might not feel it tomorrow, but eventually it'll start to it erodes the cartilage, the vertebral discs between each of the bones in your vertebral column. So we don't want that, okay? We want to protect the spine, not hurt it. Alrighty, let's let that be our last one. When your legs reach up, go ahead and start to collapse the spine down onto the carriage, curling your tailbone just a little bit off of the carriage. Reach back if your headrest is up and place it all the way down. So now if you'd like to, your hips can start to come away from the carriage, hands long, and you can start to lift up into the straps. Okay, try not to move the carriage as you roll down and up. A little bit of that spine stretch. Try your best not to look from right to left when you're rolling up to the top or down, but really like massaging that spine back and forth as you roll down, lengthening the tailbone towards the end of the carriage, and then picking up that tailbone, rolling, scooping, rounding, just like you did in your bridge at the beginning of class today. Bend your knees in toward your chest, put your tailbone down, reach your legs out, and let's try that to where we bend the knees in, roll the tailbone up, like a little roly-poly coming off away from the carriage. How far can you bring the carriage home? I think that's my, yep, there's my stoppers. And then roly-poly your way back down onto the carriage and press the legs out. You can try for about 2 to 3 more times. So never changing the shape. Like basically if you had a squishy ball, hold and squeeze it between your feet and your butt. Don't let it go as you roll back down, keeping and maintaining that strength through the core. And that nice long stretch through the spine. All right, I think this is 3. Sorry if I went a little over. It just feels so good. Awesome. Open the legs out wide. Take a nice inner thigh stretch. You can push down, you can pull down onto the straps, you can windshield wiper side to side, whatever feels good for you. Listen to your body. Let it be more intuitive here for you. Nice. Alrighty. That is our class for today. So once your feet come out of the straps, your carriage comes back home, long loops onto the pegs, and bring yourself up. Still working on all of that control through the core. Alrighty guys, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, until next time, bye.